Thanks for downloading this episode from Teachers Talk Radio. You can find the full schedule and listen back to all our shows at ttradio.org. Enjoy the podcast.
This show is brought to you in partnership with Hachette Learning, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Level up your professional development today and visit hachetlearning.com to explore the full range of titles.
Teachers, have you heard of Bet UK 2026? It's the world's biggest education and technology event, and it's completely free for educators. From keynote speakers and panel sessions to CPD accredited workshops and networking, Bet UK 2026 is where educators from across the globe come together to share ideas, spark inspiration, and find solutions that fuel our mission to drive better education globally. Get your free ticket today at betshow.com.
Hey teachers, it's Tom here from Teachers Talk Radio, just dropping in to tell you about Teachers Talk Connect 2026. We are back with our amazing big annual CPD and networking extravaganza in Manchester. It's on Saturday the 14th of March and tickets are completely free for teachers. Just head over to ttradio.org/Connect 2026 to grab your ticket today. We can't wait to see you there.
This is Teachers Talk Radio and you are listening live.
Hello and welcome educators, change makers and lifelong learners across the globe. You are tuned in to Teachers Talk Radio with me, Famida Choudhary, coming to you from Dubai, but connecting classrooms, communities and curious minds everywhere.
This is Teachers Talk Radio and you are listening live. Tune in live at ttradio.org or to join in the conversation, download the Podbean app and search Teachers Talk Radio. Follow the hashtag TTRadio. Tune in, talk it out with Teachers Talk Radio.
Hey listeners, it's been a long week and I think around 15 days that I'm back now. And I'm sure you might be missing my episodes. And today's episode is going to be, again, another one which is going to get you reflecting. And today's episode is titled The Power of Wonder, Reimagining Literacy Classrooms for Joy, Curiosity, and Connection. We are diving into what happens when we stop teaching literacy as a checklist and start nurturing it as an experience. And I couldn't have asked for more because I have an inspiring guest today, and it is Surji Aboubakker, a dynamic leader in education with 19 years of experience across the UAE, known for her commitment to meaningful change, educator development, and joyful learning environments. She's currently pursuing the NPQH and is a regular voice at leading global education summits. Welcome to the show, Surji.
Hey, thank you, Famida. It's a genuine honor to be here. I really love the title of your show and the work you do to connect educators. It's a wonderful platform. Thanks again.
Surji, I was so moved by your recent post from the Middle East Literacy Conference and the way you described the classroom as alive with hands on strategies and silent storytelling. That's where I'd love to begin, actually. And I just want to share with you all a little story behind getting connected with Surji. I did come across this post, but I want to share how Surji is a dynamic personality, because the moment we got connected on LinkedIn, immediately Surji had another post which invited educators to meet up, to network, and basically not get into networking for any business or school talk, but it was just to chat and de-stress. And it was so that just before the show we met up. We were around 8 to 10 educators from different means in the field of education, definitely, but they were all. I met all stalwarts over there who were like, excelling in their own field. And it was such an amazing experience. I must congratulate Surji for getting this on and at least starting it with our winter breaks on. So, Surji, how did you just get this idea?
The idea about creating literacy or the idea about yesterday's meetup?
Great question. So, first, the yesterday's meetup, so that educators listening out there can do the same around the globe and, just de stress their time during the break, and then moving on to the literacy summit.
Right. So regarding yesterday's meetup, that was just a random thought which occurred to my mind a couple of days ago. And I was thinking, okay, I've been in the UAE for the past 19 years, 19 years in the field of education, but 23 years in the UAE. Never have I had a month of winter break. So, I might not be traveling this winter. There must be some educators out there not traveling. So why can't I just meet up with some? And my intention was to meet without any propaganda, without any money involved, without any commercialism. Then I posted it, and the max I expected was to have maybe 10 responses. And I was actually shocked to death when I saw 150 responses and 50 plus personal messages. I'm like, oh my God, seriously? This is when I decided, okay, I need a sponsor. I need a venue because things are really not in my hand now. But after we met yesterday, after we spoke to other educators, this idea like, why can't we do it quite often? If not inside a mall, why not outside? Just like that. I know that people must be thinking, then what's the difference between other conferences happening around, right? There are lots of conferences happening in UAE, education conferences.
Yes, yes.
But that's different. There you have an agenda, there you present, there is workshop. Here, nothing. It's just like human to human. You come,
Absolutely.
you talk. Yeah, you come, you talk, you de-stress. You talk about your challenges, you talk about the best practices, just networking. That was a thought of yesterday's meetup. And then talking about wonder. What was your
Yes.
question actually? You were asking what was the question
I
about
just
that?
wanted to, yes, so to start off with the session that you had presented, the power of
Mhm.
wonder, creating literacy classroom that spark curiosity and joy. So I want to know more about it. Like, why did you choose wonder as your anchor for this literacy conversation?
Oh, right. Literacy has always been my passion. And I always felt like if a child can't read, what type of teaching are you doing in your classroom? And the session which I actually did and designed was a deliberate attempt to shift the energy around literacy. And it was inspired actually by a moment I had years ago in a year 3 classroom in Sharjah. I was observing a very traditional reading lesson, and the
Hmm.
children were dutifully filling out a worksheet because when the teacher asks you to do something, most of the students respectfully and religiously do it, right? And they were doing a worksheet on main idea. No problem, because the lesson was based on main idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I noticed a young boy, and no names here, okay? He was just staring out the window and
Okay.
not doing the worksheet, not talking, not running, not actually distracting anyone,
Mm-hmm.
but just staring out the window. And I asked him very gently what he was thinking and why was he not doing the work given by the teacher. He just whispered, Miss, I wonder if the clouds are lonely up there and who is giving them the worksheets. In that moment, actually, I realized
Hmm.
we were crushing the natural capacity for wonder in favor of a check mark.
Correct.
My conference session, therefore, wasn't a sit and listen workshop. It was an active wonder lab. We, including myself, the presenter, and all attendees, started by asking each other to role play a classic children's story without
Mm-hmm.
words. No words, no writing, just action. The silent storytelling. The
Okay.
goal was to prove that
Mm-hmm.
before students can decode words, they must first decode the world and the thoughts. For me, that is literacy. Literacy is about making meaning, and wonder is the engine that drives that meaning making process. We proved in that workshop that I was just presenting, but with the support of all the attendees, Famida, we proved that we can reignite that spark of wonder like the one that year three boy had for the clouds. So we can actually turn compliant readers into passionate inquirer. That's what I believe.
That is such an amazing idea, I think, Surji, because the silent storytelling, I think that is one thing I'm sure to try on with my class,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, because
Mm-hmm.
maybe we've been doing it, but as you said, for a reading class, when you might have students who are not interested in something, like, that's already planned for, and you might come across a child there sitting in one corner and having the power of wonder and would wanting to present it in a particular manner. So I think
Mm-hmm.
definitely we can try out this technique and look for what a different experience the child would come up with and share to the class. I think this has sparked like a quick idea on reflecting on what literacy lessons we are looking at. If we are so passionate about getting students to read, and in that bargain of getting them to read, what else we can extend a lesson to. So, Surji, I
Right.
think this is a great idea and a great takeaway for my listeners, because I myself has not come across yet something called as this silent storytelling.
That's a wonderful tool, actually.
Yes, and just to move ahead with our second segment here, it is like when you say, you know, so looking at hands-on, basically, yeah, hands-on and story rich. So let's bring this down to the classroom floor. Already, you've given us an example of where this idea sparked from, but
Mm-hmm.
if you could share more further into some specific hands-on exploratory strategies that can be used. Things like one you've said is about silent storytelling, but anything else that we could go ahead with?
Yeah. Have you heard about the reverse read strategy?
Reverse read? No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. All right. Or in other words, we call it CCR, the causality chain reverse.
Ah,
So
okay.
what happens here is that we give the students um, a very impressive ending of a story. Not the
Okay.
beginning, not the end, but the ending, the last page. And we ask them to collaboratively sketch or physically stage what the preceding causes must have been. In a
Oh.
traditional classroom, we
Mm-hmm.
actually teach them cause and effect, right? We
Yes.
tell them this is a cause, what is the effect? But rather than that, give them the last page of the story and tell
Okay.
them what happened before this. Um, I can just listen to this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Jessie Hutchison was in the center of a cleared space by now, and she held her hands out desperately as the villagers moved in on her. It isn't fair, she said. A stone hit her on the side of the head. Old man Warner was saying, come on, everyone, throw the stones. But it isn't right, Mrs. Hutchinson screamed, and then they were upon her. This is a story, The Lottery, by Shirley Jackson, which was first published in 1948. So if you're a high school or a secondary teacher and you read up the last passage, or just give the last passage to the students, and as a group predict four causes and tell them it could be social traditions, or it could be character flows actually, or it could be rituals, and ask them to work on it, you're actually igniting wonder among your students. That's one strategy. Another one is called TDI, the textual discomfort. Before reading a text heavy with complex vocabulary,
Mm-hmm.
we intentionally create a controlled sensory discomfort for the text. We set up stations where we ask students to interact with relevant but ambiguous items. And
Mm-hmm.
then this makes their brain to recognize and grapple with discomfort, the core skill which is needed here, before they even encounter the difficult words on the page. You can have another strategy like the author's play, the author's chair, which is a role play where students sit in the author's chair
Mm-hmm.
and in character, and you are not asking questions, but your students are asking questions to each other about motivations and the backstory.
I think these two strategies are really going to be getting on our listeners to reflect and maybe research more and work on it. That is the CCR and the TID approaches that you've just mentioned. It's, I think, brilliant, unique way of getting the class engaged. Along with engagement, you will see some learning outcomes that will, as you said, get into the power of wonder too. So, Surji, I think our conversation is getting on really great, and these ideas that you've been speaking on, because even I've been a language teacher for so many years, but I haven't come across these techniques, and I'm so glad that we could connect, and I'm getting to hear these, and I'm sure there are many of my listeners who've joined in. Hi, Sam, and other more listeners. If you have questions, we would love to take your questions. If it is related to the topic, if not related to the topic, also, you are welcome to ask us questions, because I'm sure as educators, we might have some doubts, we might have some queries that can be answered, and with the amount of experience Surji has, I'm definitely sure she would oblige to answer, isn't it, Surji?
Sure, sure, sure.
So,
Pleasure is
Surji,
mine always.
yes, yes. So, Suji, moving on to our next segment, which is about when students are curious, reading becomes a journey. So, I really, one thing I want to say that reading, as you mentioned, is something very close to your heart. I really feel the same, especially when I deal with the little ones, and at times you see them really struggling to be fluent readers, and then once they are fluent, it's about the comprehension skills that we want to look out for. So, and I also love the way you said when learning feels like exploration, literacy stops being a lesson, it becomes an experience.
True.
So, why do you think curiosity is the most underused literacy tool?
Before we jump to that, Famita, I think we all should know what is the exact difference between a literacy lesson and a literacy experience, right?
Right, right.
If we know the difference between an experience and a lesson, I think that will automatically answer your question. The
Hmm.
difference is actually profound. In a literacy lesson, what we do is like a rigid structure, and it often focuses on the performance, right?
Hmm.
But whereas when it comes to the literacy experience, it's something you co-create with the students. It's actually an open-minded exploration rooted in curiosity, which is focusing on process and discovering the journey along 50 minutes of your literacy experience slash lesson. When you do this part of that lesson, like co-creating the experience with your student, it actually transforms the student from a passive learner or receiver to
Hmm.
an active meaning maker. The child can relate to what he is learning in your literacy lesson to your expected outcomes. He can relate it, and he automatically falls into the love of literacy if you ignite curiosity or wonder.
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic way of explaining that if we know the difference between a lesson and an experience. And I think, I'm sure you would agree this, Surji, that here in Dubai or around UAE, we are so keen on actually getting every lesson as an experience, isn't it?
Mhm,
More
mhm.
than just teaching it as a lesson. But yeah, when
Correct.
you look at literacy, many parts of literacy would be like a structured lesson, as you mentioned, because there are a
Exactly.
lot of technicalities that we teach the children, whether it is drama from that perspective, or yeah, or it could be grammar. But yeah, getting that lesson into experience is something I think all teachers have to aim at, so that we can ignite, as you said, the power of wonder and curiosity.
Right.
So, Surji, we will keep our conversation on. I will be taking a news break right now, and I'm sure we have a lot more to this segment, and we'll keep asking you more questions on it. And Surji, please feel free if you feel anytime there's something that you really want our listeners to know, want them to read upon, you want them to go and research, reflect, and get that going in their lessons. Please feel free to mention it,
Sure, sure.
and
Definitely.
take the show on as completely. And let's go on for a short news break.
This show is brought to you in partnership with Hachette Learning, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Level up your professional development today and visit hachetlearning.com to explore the full range of titles.
Teachers, have you heard of Bet UK 2026? It's the world's biggest education and technology event, and it's completely free for educators. From keynote speakers and panel sessions to CPD accredited workshops and networking, Bet UK 2026 is where educators from across the globe come together to share ideas, spark inspiration, and find solutions that fuel our mission to drive better education globally. Get your free ticket today at betshow.com.
Hey teachers, it's Tom here from Teachers Talk Radio, just dropping in to tell you about Teachers Talk Connect 2026. We are back with our amazing big annual CPD and networking extravaganza in Manchester. It's on Saturday, the 14th of March, and tickets are completely free for teachers. Just head over to ttradio.org/connect 2026 to grab your ticket today. We can't wait to see you there.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News.
The BBC covers the news that government has promised to create 50,000 more places for children with SEND in mainstream schools in England. It says it plans to invest £3 billion over the next 3 years, partly funded by cancelling the building of some planned free schools. Councils, who will receive the funding, have argued the money needs to be diverted to the right areas and to the people who know what is needed in their local communities. Nearly 1.7 million pupils receive support for SEND in schools in England, with numbers rising. The Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, said the investment would lay the groundwork for the SEND reforms announced in the White Paper next year. The government said it plans to cancel the building of 28 new mainstream free schools following a consultation, and that it is reviewing a further 16 sites. Councils will be able to use the money from the cancelled projects to adapt existing school buildings and create more specialist spaces. There are also 77 proposed special free schools which local authorities can decide to build. Conservatives have described the cancellation of some planned free schools as education vandalism. The Lib Dems welcomed the funding, but said it needed to be matched by ambitious reforms to diagnosis and support. The article also features comment from teachers' unions, local government representatives, and SEND experts, and can be found online. The Guardian reports that some GCSEs and A-levels in England could be taken on laptops by 2030. The Qualifications Authority Ofqual says it will launch a consultation lasting 3 months. Under the proposals, each of the 4 main exam boards will be invited to draw up 2 new on-screen exam specifications, targeting subjects with fewer than 100,000 entries, making GCSE Maths ineligible but GCSE German a contender. Concerns are already being raised around device access, cybersecurity, and the worry of tech failure. Ofqual has already said students will not be allowed to use their own devices, and schools would be able to choose between on-screen and paper versions. Sir Ian Buckham, the chief regulator at Ofqual, said he was not going gung-ho about the shift to online assessment. The regulator has said pen and paper would remain central to assessment and would not disappear. Research carried out by UCL and referenced in the article found students who use keyboards in exams got better test scores, including those with learning difficulties. Steve Rollett from the Confederations of School Trusts said, "School trusts recognise the potential benefits technology can bring to assessment, but it is vital that any changes are introduced carefully and with proper safeguards." More details in Guardian Online. Schools Week reported that one of the highest performing schools in the country has been successful at a too high cost for some pupils. This was the finding of a local child safeguarding practice review launched to investigate what it called widespread concerns regarding the implementation of the behaviour policy at the school in Hackney. It called on the school to ban staff from shouting at pupils after it found the practice had humiliated and intimidated youngsters. The school, ranked 7th in the country for Progress 8 in 2024 and rated outstanding by Ofsted in 2023. The head teacher of the school argued that parents would not agree with the findings because if they did, they would not entrust their children to the school's care. Sir Alan Wood, who led the review, said the paradox of outstanding results alongside deep distress can be explained by a culture that prioritises compliance and control above all else. His findings, he said, were based on a triangulation of evidence, including 342 reports from parents, pupils and staff. A letter to parents from the school's head teacher said they had taken the report seriously and urged parents to read the report in full rather than focusing on media headlines. Full details can be found online. The Guardian says that new research suggests that 1/4 of teenagers turn to AI chatbots for mental health support, as experts warn of the dangers this can pose. The research, covering the view of more than 11,000 young people, found that both victims and perpetrators of violence were markedly more likely to use AI for mental health support than other teenagers. Youth leaders say that children at risk need a human, not a bot. The results suggest chatbots are fulfilling demand unmet by conventional mental health services, which have long waiting lists and which some young users find lacking in empathy. The supposed privacy of the chatbot is another key factor in the increase in use, with users saying it feels like talking to a friend. Full details of the research and its findings and comment can be found online. Finally, the BBC also covers an AI story, as it says schools across the UK are trialling the use of what it calls deepfake teachers to deliver lessons. The article says AI is becoming increasingly prevalent in schools, but government says AI has the power to transform education and improve teacher workload. The article features comments from pupils, parents and staff whose schools have trialled using AI and remote teachers to deliver lessons this year. Pros and cons are explored, with benefits including providing work for absent pupils and covering for ill staff. Downsides include a lack of emotional connection. More details on the BBC Technology News website. This has been Teachers Talk Radio News with Jo Fox.
Welcome back, educators, and you are still tuned in with me, Famida Choudhary, and we are talking about reimagining literacy classrooms through the lens of joy, wonder, and connection. But behind every magical classroom is a leader who believes in that magic. And today's guest, Surji, is exactly that kind of leader. So, Surji, your background spans curriculum design, global speaking forums, leadership qualification, and hands on mentoring. You've been like a driving force in transforming classrooms across Dubai, Sharjah, and Al Ain. So here's my first question. I mean to say, in my next segment for this next stretch. What does it take to lead a team of educators toward joyful literacy classrooms? Yes.
All right. Thanks for the question. You were asking about leading a team of educators towards joyful literacy, right? So
Yes.
for that, actually, we need three key points like
Okay.
vision,
Mm-hmm.
permission, and protection.
Did you
You
say
should have,
permission?
yeah,
Okay.
vision, permission, and protection. You have
Okay.
to clearly articulate as a leader why joy and curiosity matter as a rigorous goal and not a soft one. Now, when it comes to permission, leaders must explicitly give teachers the permission to try new things. Do not micromanage. They need to try new things, and you need to tell them if you fail, it's okay, it's on me. I
Mm,
take the risk, and you fail safely. And as a leader, I've always given the diverge opportunity for my teachers to move away from textbooks. Now, when it comes to protection, teachers need to feel protected from external pressures when they're experimenting with powerful project based literacy experiences. So I've always been there saying that I'm here to protect. If you fall, I'll take the fall.
mm.
If you're successful, it's on you. So that's it.
I think that's like a beautiful mindset shift with the vision, permission, and protection. I would call it like CP square. I think that's phenomenal because it's
Right.
so simple in in its way itself, the way you mentioned it. If you go to see, it's just giving the leverage to teachers to experiment, to take risk, and I think in that they might come up with being successful, or also knowing what are the gaps and
Right.
how they can further fix it, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think this is like a beautiful strategy that you've come up from, and I'm sure it comes from experience. You've seen it, it has worked out, and that's how
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah. So, Surji, just to ask, like when you mentioned about it, do you remember a kind of any, story with any educator that really got some, what you say, results, and it was really worth mentioning, or, talking
Uh,
about it?
Actually, not one, many.
Of course.
Seriously, many in my oldest years as a teacher myself, as a middle leader, and as a senior leader. See, I became a leader because I was mentored by great leaders as my mentors in my previous years, right? So if I could mention one of my mentors, Wendy Banks, who was my vice principal in one of my previous schools, and now later she became a principal in Dubai and a corporate person. So she's a very great educator in Dubai. And the first year when I became the head of phonics, taking care of Rewrite Inc. as a program to our school, the
Hmm.
only thing she told me was like, Surji, the school has invested. You can't imagine the amount of money the school has invested on the resources.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not here to talk about the money. I'm going to talk about the risk you're going to take to raise the standard of literacy and reading from FS till grade 5. Whatever you do, Surji, I'm not going to tie your hands. I'm here to support you. And she said exactly the same words. Surji, if you fail, that's on me. If
Mm.
you succeed, it's you. And when I became in her position later as the head of section or whatever, I whenever the team was winning or whenever we were getting one indicator up in the inspection or
Mm-hmm.
whenever the teacher is getting recognized in an annual ceremony, when they
Mm-hmm.
mention my name, I would always say humbly, and even now I believe it's not me, it's them. I'm just a facilitator. It's
Mm-hmm.
them. It's either the team or the teacher. So
Teacher.
yeah, that's it. As simple
Yeah.
as it is. It's you who's molding your classroom. So if you give that power and if you give that confidence, if you build confidence in your teachers,
Mm-hmm.
They become risk takers, and they've done it.
Absolutely. I think the trust factor is what we are
Very,
looking at.
very important. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure that all teachers out there, if you have or you're working with a leader who has that belief in you, and can take and can tell you that you know best because you are dealing with those kids under your care on a daily basis, right? And as Surji mentioned, that leaders would be just facilitators, but yes, when it comes to getting something right or getting the way that we are doing it, the credit goes to you teachers, definitely. I like that part of leadership. I'm sure, I think we are all and I especially feel I too I'm really blessed to be in this land of UAE, where
Right.
I also have been privileged. I am a privileged one, I would say, where I have had leaders, and I still have them with me, who have the same kind of mindset, where risk taking is allowed. You can go ahead. It's always and you can share your best practices. You can also, at the same time, your leaders give you that trust factor is always there, which supports and actually builds our confidence to go ahead with strategies in class. And if I'm not wrong, Surji, I want to zoom into one of your many leadership hats that you've been doing. You just mentioned that you were head of phonics. So I'm so keen into know, like, when you say head of phonics, how do you build a strong, story rich foundation for phonics that goes beyond, like, maybe a worksheet model or just task sheets?
Oh, teaching students to move out of the worksheet is not really easy. I think I'm having some technical issues. Just give me a few minutes. Can you
Yeah.
hear me? I can't.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly. I think you're not able to hear me. Okay, I'll just we'll take a quick break right now. But
Mm-hmm.
Surji, we can hear you clearly. I guess I'll just write this message. Yeah, Surji, we are able to hear you clearly. And if you have to fix that technical glitch, we will just take a quick, short break and be back.
This show is brought to you in partnership with Hachette Learning, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Level up your professional development today and visit hachetlearning.com to explore the full range of titles.
Teachers, have you heard of Bet UK 2026? It's the world's biggest education and technology event, and it's completely free for educators. From keynote speakers and panel sessions to CPD accredited workshops and networking, Bet UK 2026 is where educators from across the globe come together to share ideas, spark inspiration, and find solutions that fuel our mission to drive better education globally. Get your free ticket today at betshow.com.
Hey teachers, it's Tom here from Teachers Talk Radio, just dropping in to tell you about Teachers Talk Connect 2026. We are back with our amazing big annual CPD and networking extravaganza in Manchester. It's on Saturday, the 14th of March, and tickets are completely free for teachers. Just head over to ttradio.org/connect 2026 to grab your ticket today. We can't wait to see you there.
This is Teachers Talk Radio.
And you're listening to Famida on Teachers Talk Radio. Surji is having a kind of a technical glitch. Nevertheless, while she's trying to just fix that up, we will be in connection to how to embed reading practices. I'm just going to be listening to, I think, Ruzinda. I have some listeners out there. I would love to have you on air while Suji is just fixing her technical glitch. Kurat, if anybody of you want to just join in and come to my live show and talk about embedding reading, looking at the power of wonder in literacy classrooms, it would be like just great. I would love to answer some questions too that would just come up. As we said, my topic for today is the power of wonder in literacy classrooms. We're talking about creativity, hands on experience, silent storytelling, and there was so much that Surji just spoke of. And hi, Surji, are you in? I think she's still trying to connect. Nevertheless, do I have any questions from my listeners today? Hi, listeners. Do you have any queries, any questions that you want to ask? What about Ruzinda? Ruzinda, hi, you've entered my live studio. Do you have any questions or anything? If it's not related to the topic, also, I welcome those questions. And there is another one there. Okay, Surji is just joining back. Nevertheless, let me see what else I can add today. So I wanted to ask Surji actually about importance because she's been a head of phonics and she has looked into embedding or getting the phonic program in schools in place. So that is one thing I think that is I really wanted to ask her. But going back to what we literally seen in or literally heard today was about the power of wonder. And amongst the leadership traits that she mentioned to establish something in schools, that she mentioned about the vision, permission, protection. This, I think, truly redefines how we teachers actually we teachers can be supported. And I called it like a CP square phrase, which is simple, memorable, and so deeply meaningful. Along with that, she also came about, it's not just like in philosophy she was saying about it, she's seen it happening in action. Okay. And she had many of the anecdotes or stories to share with us, which she shared about one of the incidents where this had really worked around. So, teachers who are listening to me, I want to talk to you about when was the last time you felt true joy while teaching a literacy classroom? What made it different? So, if I have listeners out there listening to me, this question is for you. If you can just type in and let me know, like, what is your take on it? I would love to hear. So Surji is back now, and I think I would pose this question to Surji while my listeners are also thinking about it. What was the last time you felt true joy while teaching a literacy lesson, and what made it different, Surji?
Famida, you were talking about. Sorry, that was a technical issue. The last thing I heard was about the worksheet culture in primary years and the FS classrooms. Was that
Yes. So
was
I
that what?
yes, I was
Yeah.
talking about phonics. Yes, yes, and because you were head of phonics, and we wanted to know how would you establish it. So let's continue with that, and then come back to my next question.
Oh, right. So we'll first talk about the worksheet culture, right?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually the worksheet culture, especially in this part of the world, when it comes to the Middle East, maybe particularly UAE, is
Hmm.
largely driven by a need for visible evidence. We know that because of certain expectations and needs and requirements, evidence, and evidence. We always talk about evidence, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's why we keep on collecting worksheets, cutting,
Worksheets.
pasting, filing, etc. But we should know that we have to shift the definition of evidence, shift evidence to action.
Mm.
The evidence of learning is not just filled in worksheet. It's the student's articulation. It's
Absolutely.
yeah, it's his creation and application of knowledge. When I was a leader, I mean, early years of leadership career. Again,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to tell about one of my experiences. I was reviewing the literacy evidence, and all I saw were binders of completed worksheets. I mean, no problem with that. Completed
Mm-hmm.
worksheet by the children, corrected by the teacher, neatly evidenced in beautiful binder. Great work, great effort, lots of time spent on it. And I really appreciated the teachers for doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
then I just asked, where is the learning? Where exactly is the learning?
Mm-hmm.
This is a product, but where is the learning journey? And then she was very happily opening her mobile phone, her device, whatsoever it is, and showing me a video of her students designing a puppet show based
Oh,
on a
wow.
book,
Mm.
which they were reading that month.
Mm-hmm.
You could have seen the language, the collaboration, and the passion. That was the real trigger. Honestly, Famida, that day I made actually a policy shift. Performance is a snapshot, but passion is a portrait. I told my teachers. I said, I don't care about the 1,000 worksheets you do. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see things happening in action. So I would
Absolutely.
always say use high value alternatives, replace a comprehension worksheet
Mm-hmm.
with maybe a task like create a 4 panel comic strip summarizing the plot, or write a letter to the main character advising them what to do next. The story is over, but now as a reader, you tell the character or the author this is what the story should be happening in the next chapter, maybe. So
Mm-hmm.
when you do this, you're actually demanding synthesis and evaluation, which are really higher order thinking skills.
Absolutely.
So what are we actually talking here? We are focusing on literacy is built on talk, not just writing or copying. At the
It's,
end,
I,
we
I think they
need,
complete.
yeah,
Mm. Mm.
at the end we really need productive writing, but it should start from talking. And like you said in your introduction, it is storytelling rich, but prioritize rich structured conversation,
Mm.
drama, debate. And actually the rigor comes from the quality of the language the students are using and not the quantity of the handwriting.
Absolutely. So true. I so very, when you say these things, there are so many things that are just running on my mind. When I would just, when you have that talk in class, and you have those, when you gave those examples like writing a letter and making a comic strip, this is all so well, they complement each other. I wanted to say, in a literacy lesson. And as you rightly mentioned, it would be like, they might have completed around 10 worksheets, but when it comes to watching like a journey, a learning journey of a child, or looking at how the child has applied his learning, is where we need to expand our horizons, in fact, isn't it? So I think, Surji, you've really got the bullseye and you've shared these practices with us, which I'm sure has got me thinking on, and some things that we are already doing currently. Yes, like, even with our little ones, we have a lot of conversational literacy lessons. Maybe, there's a prompt given, and they have to talk about it, and you maybe put it on a Padlet wall, and where I yet have my time to sit with all the responses, look at the, when you say the structure, the grammar, the language, how they've implemented it while speaking also makes a part of it makes a whole lot of difference. And where, you need to give the feedback, so the feedback would not only be a written feedback, maybe on worksheets, as you said. It would be a verbal feedback, it could be, a feedback given to a child, where looking at the expressions or something, the feedback is not what you say, connected to just a rubric. it would be
Exactly.
it would be far beyond that. And I think those moments when we have with our students, you will see that in the long run, those results will be purely looking at learning outcomes, and the results will be visible, and the journeys will be visible. So, Surji,
100%.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we spoke about this. And while the technical glitch happened, I just happened to ask a question to my listeners because I have many joined into my live room today. And it was, when was the last time you felt true joy while teaching a literacy lesson and what made it different? So, as I didn't have any responses yet, or maybe people are not wanting to respond, I would pose this question to you. So, yes.
Always, it had been a joy teaching literacy, Famida. I would say, like, I started as a classroom, a homeroom teacher in primary years ago. I have worked as grade 10 English teacher also. So a
Oh.
great difference from primary till grade 10. Uh, but always students. I mean, if you're a grade 10 student, if you're a grade 1 student, it doesn't matter. It's the same for me. So
Mm-hmm.
the detective lesson was something which I remember. It's
Mm-hmm.
years ago, Famita, because I haven't taught for maybe around 10 years. I've been in the leadership category. So if you're actually asking my personal thing, there
Mm-hmm.
are many which really hot close to my heart, and two are related to SEND students. One was autistic,
Ah,
wave three, not able to articulate, not able to do any other child would do in the classroom. And the
okay.
child was in my year four classroom, and you know the pressure for a teacher to finish the curriculum,
Yeah.
to run and finish a curriculum before the assessment happens, to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that the notebook is I'm now talking as a teacher here, okay? So to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that the notebook is done and completed and corrected before the inspection comes,
Mm-hmm.
all these types of pressure was there. But what to do with an autistic child who has to have a complete LSA with him all the time, and
Hmm.
autistic plus behavioral issues? And then that was a week where we had to actually make our children publish their creative writing,
Okay.
story writing.
Mm-hmm.
And students were given prompts by me, like maybe the story starters were given, some
Mm.
were given vocabulary clues. The children who need support in vocabulary were given vocab clues. The other group of children who did not need any particular support were sent to a nearby classroom where they could listen to music and produce their own work, put under supervision of the TA. So all these things were happening, and this boy was sitting, and they're not able to do anything. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
he has to be productive, otherwise he will feel sad. I did
Correct.
not care about the trick, the check boxes and everything. I gave him a set of Play-Doh, and I decided to sit with him, year
Uh-huh.
four. Okay, and I told him, because I've already settled other groups of children, they were on their task, taking care
Okay.
of each other. And I told them, I'm sitting at the back with, let's call him Omar. So I'm just sitting at the back with Omar. You need
Mm-hmm.
anything, I'm here, children. So that trust, and then I'm telling them, I know you're doing your work properly. I'm leaving it to you, completely to you, on your own. And I'm with Omar, and I'm like, Omar, we are going to write a story,
Mm.
but I don't know what story you want to make, and I don't know your characters. I
Mm-hmm.
have some Play Dohs with you. I spent two lessons with him. End of the lesson. I'm not saying that I ignored the rest of the classroom, okay? I was running around between the groups and everything, but time to time I'm back with Omar and his LSA. And then on his notebook, with very messy notebook, he produced some diagrams, some designs, some objects. He made things like a story map. At the end, in his language, he was creating his characters from day one till day two to day three until the end of the story. He was not able to write the story, but he made a picture story map. And that's it. That's all I wanted. And I felt I was being successful.
Absolutely.
I could create, I could make him create I could make him bring the thoughts out of his mind to his book. Now, did he write? He did not.
Mm.
But was he able to articulate something? Yes.
Yes.
Was he happily producing it? Very much yes. He
Mm.
was frustrated earlier, but now, no. He was proudly showing this to the class and trying to express his feelings and his story through his characters which he designed. That was a successful moment for me, Famida.
Amazing. I just want to give you this.
Thank you.
Seriously, Surji. I'm genuinely moved by that story. And, especially in the world of data, deadlines, display boards, you have reminded us today that dignity in the learning journey matters the most.
It
And
does.
that story about Umar and the Play Doh wasn't just about literacy. I just want to say it is about leadership, presence, and love. I think I think that love only can come with us educators when your passion was teaching, you are into it, and every day you live and breathe teaching. I think it's such a wonderful conversation that we are ending our show today, Surji. Your model, the kind of leader every teacher wishes to have, one who says, "I've got your back, take the risk," and the kind of educator who says, not what a child lacks, but what's waiting to emerge through trust, time, and wonder. Thank you for weaving the art of pedagogy with the heart of humanity, Surji. I must say that. And anything last that you want to say before we close up the show?
um, I would, like I always tell my teachers, my leaders, anyone who I speak to, trust the child in your classroom always, because they are born curious. They are born curious, and your job isn't to start the engine, but just to remove the handbrake, and then they will run. Always slow down, trust your students, and remember, before they read words, they read you. So you actually matter for them. Your impact, be it positive, never negative. Never. Even your touch, your voice, your look should be inspiring for every teacher, for every student you teach in your classroom. So that, like, I remember Omar, and like Omar's mother remembers me till now. I
Mm-hmm.
still get pictures, I still get messages about his growth, I
Wow.
still get to know what happens to him every day. I'm not in that school anymore, I'm not even in that emirate anymore, but
Oh,
still.
you're in
So
touch.
they are in touch with me.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to tell everyone. Slow down. Trust your students, and remember, before they read words, they read you. They might not remember your name 15 years from now, but they remember your face and your actions and your words. So be the architects of possibility, shaping futures with purpose.
Amazing. So, to everyone who has tuned in today, if there's one takeaway, it's this: curiosity isn't chaos, it's clarity waiting to be discovered. And I think, as Surji very correctly pointed out, that before they read words, they read you. As educators, I think we have to have that positivity at all times, and that has to be there. As she said, even if it is just not talk, facial expression, the way you're there at all times in front of kids. So as educators, let's give ourselves permission to explore, to question, to fall forward. So, because when we design classrooms that are rich with joy, inquiry, and connection, we are not just teaching literacy, we are building lives that read the world with wonder. That was our topic for today, the power of wonder. And I want to say this is going to be my last show for this year 25, 26. I'm really looking forward for the next academic year with many more global educators like Surji, leaders who are making an impact, making a difference, and wanting to share to the world those, those stories that are there within the four walls of their classrooms, let reach it, allow reader to reach it out to a larger audience, so that we as teachers have that similar reflective thoughts, and we can nurture the children under our care at the best of our abilities. So, once again, Surji, thank you for being a beacon of leadership and inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Famida. Thank you very much.
I'm Famida Choudhary signing off from Teachers Talk Radio. Until next time, stay curious, stay courageous, and keep reimagining education with heart. Thank you to my listeners, and you can definitely listen to my show once it's published. It has a lot of insights. You get a lot of details here, and the stories that Surji has shared will still remain with you, and I'm sure will take you a long run to experiment with literacy classrooms, keeping the power of wonder and curiosity in your mind. Signing off. Bye bye.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.